Okay, grade 8's going to move on to question number 35 here, assignment 3. It's a block, and you are drafting the orthographic views. Okay, so once again, we learned what orthographic is up here. Orthographic is 3 pictures in 2 dimensions. Let me just get you a little better example here of what I'm talking about. Actually, there's a better one on the next page here. So we've got an isometric, which is what they're giving us here, and we need to produce the orthographic, the 3 views. So your draft here in the end should look something like this. Top, front, side. Everything is lined up quite nicely and neatly, accurately, and to scale. Okay? So the question it asks us to do is 3-2-B. Oh, actually both. 3-2-A as well as 3-2-B. Okay, so you got to do both of these. I'll do this first one here as an example, and just going to erase some of this stuff and help make it useful for when I'm pointing out what's going on here. Okay, so first of all, we need to see what information is missing and that we need to add to it still. So we can see that this is 95 long, 50 wide. It doesn't tell us how tall this is, or this, or this, or this, but it tells us this is 30, so we know that the rest will be the same. These will all be 30. It tells us that from here to here, so that would be this edge, this face, is 35, and from here to here is 20. So what it doesn't tell me is what this is. It tells me that this is 20 and it tells me that this is 50, so I can figure that out pretty easily that this is 30. Again, it tells me this is 35 and this is 95, so I can do the math on this one and figure out that that's 60. So I'm going to need to know those numbers for when I do this draft, so I just wanted to make sure we found those. I'll just kind of move this up a little bit and bring in my piece of paper here. So for this sketch, you're going to notice it asks us to use a 1-to-1 scale, which means you don't need a scale ruler. All you got to do is use a regular ruler. Okay, so just a full scale ruler, anything you find around the house. In this case, you're going to want your ruler to be at least 95 millimeters, and so that's just a 10 centimeter basically. So you'll have every ruler in your house should be that long. It also asks you to leave a 40 millimeter gap between views and use a miter line. You don't need to use a miter line. We don't have those tools with you at home. And a 40 millimeter gap is going to be a little bit too much of a gap for what we're working with today. So I'm going to ask you to leave probably 2 squares. Okay, 2 squares on our graph paper as our gap between pictures. And so what that means is the gap between this picture and this picture will be 2 squares, and the gap between this picture and this picture 2 squares. Do not just draw all 3 in a row, up and down or side to side. That would be incorrect, please. Okay, so pay attention to how I'm doing it and do your best to replicate that on your own. Okay, so before I do a good sketch of something like this, a good draft, I would want to sketch it out. I'd want to know what it's going to look like in advance, and just kind of roughly. So this is the paper I used for our previous video, but basically, if I look at this thing, this is the top. Okay, this here is the front view, and then this here is the side view. So I always start with the top view. The top view is what I'm going to do first, and I can see that this thing is going to be a big rectangle with this little corner missing. So it should look something like this. Okay, so it'll look something like this. I don't have to be real accurate. This is just kind of a rough sketch. And from the front, I'm just going to see these two rectangles here. I'm not going to see what the top looks like. I'm not going to see these two edges. I'm only going to see these two faces. And so I know it's going to be below this because that's the pattern we always use, top, front, side. And it should be the same width. So these should line up. And then this should line up. Okay, so that's what I think it's going to look like from the front. And finally, what is it going to look like from the side? Well, I'm going to see this rectangle and this rectangle. I'm not going to see any of this other jazz. And so it should be the same height as this guy. And this little piece here is going to kind of be drawn in right there. So I basically think that once I've done my draft, it's going to look something like this. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I think I can handle that. So now that I have an idea of what it's going to look like, well, I can take this sketch and I can add some numbers to it. So I know that this is 95. I can see, whoop, this is 50. The height of this would be the height of this, so that's 30. Obviously this is 95. What about this guy? This is 60. This is 35. This is 30, and this is 20. Okay, so I probably should have made this a little bit more like this and not so much up here, but again, it's a quick pick to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. But these numbers here now are going to help me with my sketch as I get going here. So what I got to do is I got to pick a starting point. So I'm just going to pick, and you never know what kind of space you're going to need, so you want to pick as close to this left edge, you know, as possible. So I'll go right on the edge. I'm going to use this as my starting point. Okay, so this dot is going to be my original starting point up here. And I can see I got to go 95 this way and 50 this way. So I'm going to make sure I've got my centimeters, millimeters side of my ruler, not my inches. And I probably would like to have a little sharper pencil, but I don't think I have a pencil sharpener too close, so we're going to make this work for now. A good way to work with a little bit of a dull pencil is to spin your pencil as you go. So 95 looks like it's right about here. So I'm going to spin my pencil a little bit. Okay, there's my top line. And then I'm probably going to just spin my paper, and I'm going to do 50 here, so I get my ruler lined up as accurately with my 0 on this line. I'll back it up just so that my pencil line is going to get right on there. And 50 is right here, just below that one, just below this line. And I like to put a little starter to the next one. Okay, now I know that's going to go out 60. Okay, so it's going to go out 60, and I like to have my ruler below this line. You can see this line here, so that I can line it up straight. So it's not a little bit crooked like this or a little bit crooked like this. I get it right on there, and the edge of my ruler should be parallel with the grid paper. Now this only goes 60. So I want to keep my eye on where that's going to be, right about here. Okay, so there's the 60, and I'm going to do just a little bit of one of those there. And it looks like, let's just take a peek here up at this guy. So I went 60. Now it's going to go 20, 35, 30. So I think what I'll do is I'll go down 30. And this got just past the line, so it's a little easier for me to be on this side of that line than rather try to be here, and then it gets a little bit harder to see. So I want this to be 30. So I'm going to actually hold the 3 at the line, and I'll make my pencil mark to the 0. So there's to the 0. This one needs to be 20. Whoops, you didn't see that probably. Okay, this one needs to go to the 20. So I'm going to, again, hold my ruler so that this line here is parallel with the edge of my ruler. Get it so that my pencil mark's going to be right there to the 0. Perfect. And now I don't even really need to measure this last part. I can just connect these two. Okay, and if I want to measure it, I can. And my measurement says it's 35. Perfect, 35. That's what she says. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at here. So that is a picture of this top view of that object. It is to scale, it is accurate, it is straight, it is clean. Okay, that's kind of what a draft should look like, whereas this is a sketch. I don't need to put any numbers, I don't need to label any of my sides, links, on this particular piece. Okay, so we're just going to do this. Usually your dimensions are going to be put on that 3D picture, okay? So now we want to do this picture, which is a picture from the front. And like I said, let's leave about a 2 square gap. So I'm going to start this one right here. And I would like to say that this is 30 down and 95 across. Well, the 95 should be easy because I just did that. So let's do that first. 95 should be right the exact same as the one I just did above. Then I'm going to do 30. It looks like 30 is right on that line, or really close to it. Okay, and we see that this is actually a full rectangle. So even though it juts in here, we can't tell that from this view. It all looks like it's on the same plane from this view. It's this view that tells us that it's not. So let's go down here and we will make it 95, just like our top. And we shouldn't have a problem drawing this end line. It should just be right in line with this one from above. So if I line up my ruler with this guy, these guys should follow suit. Okay, and you'll just use your eraser to clean up any edges where you might have gone a little bit too far. Now, this doesn't quite look like this because we're missing this piece here that shows us there's a change in direction or a change in plane. And so we don't really need to measure because we just simply need to use the picture from above, the line from the above picture. So there's the line, and now I just transfer that down onto here. Okay, so now this and this is this and this. And I now need to make this one. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to leave about a 2 square gap. Right here is where my starting point is going to be for this part. And this is 50 total here, and it's 30 total here. So I'm going to want to make a 30 by 50 rectangle. The 30 part shouldn't be hard. I can kind of copy that. And actually, I want to use this edge here for my bottom portion of this picture to make sure it's in line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the 10. I'm going to line up the 10 at that point, and my ruler's in line with that. So I need to go 20 plus 30 is 50. So I need to go right to here. Okay. And at 20, so 10, where are we here? 10, 20. That's where I'm going to have to make a vertical line going up. So I can do this on the top. I know I'm starting here. So I'll put my 10 of my, I'll put it at the 10 centimeter mark on my ruler. This is in line, and I'm going to go right to the 15, and I want to put a little mark at the 20. Okay, and so now I can make this vertical line, and these two should just be joining these two edges, and it actually works out pretty good. Again, I'm going to use this line to match up with the edge of my ruler, and that'll help me make a straight line. There we go. Okay, so you can see that my sketch should look quite similar to my finished product. My finished product should be what this guy looks like from top, front, and side. And if I'm an architect or a builder or a designer of some kind, I can read these two pictures and kind of get a real good idea of what's going on. Obviously it's a simple block. Your job will be to do this one now without any help, okay, using the same skills I just tried to lay out for you. Find out what some of these question marks are based on some of the numbers that they give you, and then always start with your top picture. Okay, that's the first part you draw right here. Sketch it out first, get an idea of what this thing's going to look like from the top. So that would be this piece and this piece. Get an idea of what it's going to look like from the front. That would be that piece and that piece. And then this will be what your side looks like right here. Okay, and get an idea of what that looks like within a sketch. Throw some numbers on it and give her with a simple ruler like this. Okay, next video we're going to do some sketching. Actually, I could probably, I'll throw that into this video here too. I'm gonna quickly go over what this page 36 and 37 sketching the orthographic views is, because it's actually quite simple and similar. So you're going to be given an item right here, these 4 items, which are isometric views like these, and you need to make these, but all you got to do is sketch them. So this is what you're given, and you do it on this graph paper. Okay, no ruler, just a pencil, and I'll do the first one here for you. So I'll do this one, and then I hope that you will be able to get these other 3 on your own. And you can see that these are split up into squares, so it's like they're drawn on grid paper already. You can see that this is 2 squares wide. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 high, so it's 4 high in total. This piece is 2 and this piece is 2, and then it's 4 and 3, so 7 long. Okay, so you'll just need to know that idea when you go to sketch it. Which one do we draw first? Top first, always. And some of you are going to say, well, I could lay this top out like this. I could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do this. That's a picture from the top. But now when you do your front view, it's going to go here, and your side view. It gets kind of complicated when you're doing it like that. The easiest way to do it is to treat this like the left. This is like the right side, the left side, the front, the top. And so if this is the left side and this is the right side, always right side, left side, then it should be on the right. So this should be on the right and this should be on the left. So it should actually look like this. It goes 2 by 3, that's this piece, and then it goes 4 by 2. So now I've just turned it sideways, some would say, but that's a picture with the left is on the left, the right is on the right, and that's a picture from the top. So this is a no-no. We're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it like this. we're going to leave one square space, and then we're going to do our front picture, and our front picture should be an L 4 7 2 4 7 2 4 2 3. So 4 down, 7 across, 2 up, 4 back, 2 up, 3 back, and there's our L shape. It's not perfect, it's not totally straight, but it gives us an idea of what the picture looks like. And our last one, we don't do it underneath here, okay? We don't do it up here beside this one. We always do it beside the front view. So the side view, I'm going to see this and this, these two squares. And this is a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2. And I'm going to leave a 1 square space, and I'm going to go 2 by 2 and 2 by 2. Okay, so now this should line up, this should line up, the outer edges line up, the top edges line up. It's really important when you're learning how to draft orthographic and isometric views that you get used to this pattern, this accuracy, this good detail here, okay? Leaving these spaces, keeping things in line, and all that kind of jazz. So, give this one, and this one a try. Don't worry about any of this other stuff because it asks you here, says do 3-3A. 3-3A right here. And that's all of these shapes in here. So, once you get those done, I'm going to post another video for 40 and 49 and 52 right away. So, good luck.